Finally, the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan ended, and Azerbaijan regained the Nagorno-Karabakh region. And in a tripartite agreement, Armenian Azeri-Russian, ending nearly 40 days of an unprecedented bloody war in the region for 30 years, but the fact that everyone realizes is that the agreement came in fact the closest thing to a surrender document signed by Armenia, after all other options have been exhausted. Therefore, the Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan did not want the cameras to document this humiliating moment in the history of Armenia. On the other hand, his opponent, the Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, did not hesitate to pour salt on the Armenian wounds, by speaking of complete surrender and the expulsion of dogs from the Azerbaijani lands. An agreement to taste surrender. This agreement stipulates that each party will retain the land it seized in the battles, while Armenia is obligated to return the sovereignty over the Agdam region by November 20. The Kilbajar region by November 15, and the Lachin region by December 1 next to Azerbaijan. The agreement also provides for the deployment of Russian peacekeepers, whose patience cannot be bet on, along the ceasefire line in Karabakh, as well as along the Lachin corridor that connects Karabakh with Armenia. Under the agreement, Armenia will ensure the opening of transport between West Azerbaijan and the Nakhchivan region, which enjoys autonomy and lives in complete isolation, with the aim of securing the movement of people and goods in both directions. The agreement was formulated, as is the norm in international agreements, in a diplomatic language that is not offensive to the defeated party. However, a careful reading of the agreement and its contexts shows that Azerbaijan achieved more than it was waiting for, while Armenia lost in the war what it could have avoided had it accepted to negotiate before the outbreak of confrontations. Azerbaijan took revenge for its defeat in 1994, and regained the equivalent of 1/5 of its lands that were occupied in this war, and managed to control nearly 60% of the Karabakh region, and took control of the strategic city of Şuşa, which overlooks the capital Stepanakert, and is less than 15 kilometers away from it. Connecting its lands to the Nakhchivan region, which was completely isolated from its lands even though it belonged to it, and access to it required passage through Iran or Armenia, and through it guaranteed a direct geographical connection with Turkey through a border strip extending over 23 kilometers. As for Armenia, it has left this agreement and has lost what it occupied in 1994 from the Azerbaijani lands, 60% of the Karabakh region, and the remaining part will likely become empty land, because although the agreement stipulates the return of refugees and displaced persons, no one imagines that the conditions of these return will be available soon, not to mention that Azerbaijan will also have the right to demand the return of its refugees who emigrated or fled in 1994. Agreement under pressure. Fights and friends. Despite the bitterness of this agreement with regard to the Armenians, they had no choice but to do so. They signed it under double pressure, the pressure of battles and the pressure of friends who, when the grandfather found that they had sold illusion to Armenia, after they had promised it support that never came. In the field, prior to the agreement, the Azerbaijani forces arrived at Shusha, according to the Azerbaijani designation, or Şuşi according to the Armenian designation, and whoever controls the city can control the region because of its geographical and strategic location. It overlooks the whole region, especially the capital, Stepanakert, which is only far away. About 15 kilometers, means that resolving the battle is only a matter of time, but rather a matter of short time. Therefore, as the Azerbaijani army approached Shusha 10 days ago, Armenia sent a distress call to Russia, demanding the activation of the Joint Defense Agreement and the Friendship Agreement, and an indirect similar call to friendly countries, but these calls echoed in a vacuum. The Russian answer came disappointing, after Moscow considered that it is interested in intervening according to the Joint Defense Agreement bound by Yerevan, if Armenia, and not the Karabakh region, was attacked, and this answer seemed to resemble a Russian message to Azerbaijan and Turkey, that you go while you are in it, we have no objection. As for France, which has historical relations with Armenia, it is reinforced by common hostility to Turkey and the strength of the Armenian lobby in France, where an Armenian community of nearly 700,000 lives. It preferred to remain an honest mediator, as Jean-Yves Le Drian said. In fact, Paris has no desire to fight a battle in a region that does not belong to its geostrategic domain. Neither Turkey, Iran, nor Russia will allow this. Moscow accounts. Certainly, Russia was aware of the reality of the Azerbaijani military superiority supported by Turkey, and knew that Turkey had entered forcefully into the battle through military experts and drones, and perhaps through F-16s, F-16, so it is certain that Moscow was not taken by surprise by this military progress. But she wanted the situation to reach the level reached as a punishment for Armenia for its new orientations closer to the West and the United States, since the Velvet Revolution that carried the current Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan from prison to power, without hiding his desire to change the hands of Armenia's clock to the Western time. A century after it was installed on Moscow time. This was Russia's revenge on Pashinyan, and he taught it to others who think of turning back to Moscow from other countries nearby. On the other hand, it is wooing Azerbaijan, with this complacency silence, to its side more, and it offers a gift to Turkey that will wait in return for it in another region, within the framework of understandings extending from Syria to Libya to the eastern Mediterranean and the southern Caucasus. Then who is Armenia in relation to Russia? Her anger and complacency are equal in Moscow's view. Thus, Armenia found itself forced by the calculations of the battle and politics to sign the agreement, because it was given the choice between an immediate agreement, after which the battles would stop, and the Azerbaijani army stopping at the Shusha/Şuşi border, or the continuation of the battles, which means the fall of the capital and the rest of the territory. So the Prime Minister swallowed the knife alone and fell without cameras to relieve the humiliation. Turkey, the new player in the South Caucasus. The Azerbaijani victory in this battle seems self-evident and does not need to be elaborated, as long as the country has regained its occupied lands, and about 2/3 of the Karabakh region, but there is an apparent actor in this process that this victory would not have been achieved without its declared participation, which is Turkey. In fact, the agreement was forged between Moscow and Ankara, which makes them the biggest winners from this war. Moscow is strengthening its grip on the South Caucasus, and Ankara is turning into a new actor in the region in agreement with Russia, provided that it offers it some concessions in another region. As expected, there is nothing for nothing in international relations. In the short term, Ankara seems to have achieved many gains, as it has won a war that is pouring into its international balance, and has strengthened its relations with Azerbaijan with all that entails in terms of projects and agreements in the field of energy, and then Turkey has become directly linked to borders with Azerbaijan and with the Nagorno-Karabakh region, which is the matter which will be converted into infrastructure that serves the link with energy sources, and perhaps the Turkish military presence there. Finally, the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan ended, and Azerbaijan regained the Nagorno-Karabakh region. And in a tripartite agreement, Armenian Azeri-Russian, ending nearly 40 days of an unprecedented bloody war in the region for 30 years, but the fact that everyone realizes is that the agreement came in fact the closest thing to a surrender document signed by Armenia, after all other options have been exhausted.